we're going to do some or desoldering. So the first thing we need to do is identify. Remember, these two switches are the footages, and they were creating a lot of noise. So we're going to take those out and start with those. Use a simple desoldering iron. Take these out. Right. These are those switches here. So I'm going to start with those. That's better. Alright, put that over there. Do the next one. And there we go. Again, just work it out. And it comes out. The board does have the illustration of how the switch goes with the tab marked. Okay. So don't have to worry about putting it in the wrong way. Alright. Now we'll get to cleaning the switches. These do come apart. You just have to be extremely careful and use the correct tools. Duckbills are a great tool to use for things like this. So basically what we're going to do is those two tabs come up through the wafer board, and we need to squeeze those together because right now they're spread out to hold the wafer board in place. We don't want to overdo it because we need to re-spread them out once we get the switch cleaned. So ever so tightly give that a squeeze. Just push those in a bit. Confirm we're moving them. It looks like we are. Okay, that one's done. I just need to do the other side. And there we go. And then at this point we very carefully pull the wafer off. Just kind of work it back and forth. There we go. And there we have it. As you can see, there's a specific side on this. Alright. It shouldn't matter because it is a symmetrical switch. There's 3 sections. Okay. However, I will mark them so that I know exactly where it goes. I'll go grab a marker. Alright. I'm going to mark the top of this shaft right here. And I'm going to mark the top of this right there so that I know. I put them together, match the markings up, and push it back together. Alright. That's the easy part. Now we have to take this cap off. Okay, and in here there are some small parts, so you must be careful. Again, the duckbills work pretty good for this. Just squeeze them together, and that pops, that unlocks those. And very carefully lift that up. Now you can see very much why this switch was flaky. Okay, we have the tangs here contacts. And in here, where the tangs rub, they'll connect either this, or this, or this, or this. Okay, so we're going to clean this up. Isopropyl alcohol. And a rag. Now you can see the advantage of disassembling the switch versus spraying contact cleaner in there. So you get everything out of it. Okay? Next thing we want to do is I'm going to clean these little tangs here. So, as you can see, they're bent in a certain direction. Do not go against the tangs, otherwise you'll pop them out, or worse yet, damage them and bend them. So you want to go in the direction opposite of the bend. Okay, you can see it's cleaning up rather nicely. Do that for all three. And these do come out, so if you have them that are really bad, you can pop them out. They're just held in with little plastic tabs in there. You just have to be very careful. Alright, looking much better. Now I'll just reassemble, right? Before that evaporates out. Okay. Very carefully. Line them up. And that's it. Locks into place. Working good. Okay. Put our line up. Okay. Again. We have a line here on the shaft. Put the lines together. Very carefully line up the tabs for the board and push them through. Okay. Alright. So now the tricky part. How do we spread those out without damaging this fiber board? Right? I have a couple tools for that. Okay. One of them is a small screwdriver. Okay. They're already split. So what I can do is I can push that in, give it a little twist, and I can push away using force, prying, and pry in the direction both ways. It takes a little force. Okay. Be careful not to jab yourself. I've done that a few times. Okay. And again, we'll do it on this side. Okay. Looks like there's a little bit more left to get on that one. And sometimes what I'll do is I have a tool that every person repairing switches and pots should have. This. Okay. You're like, that's the world's smallest channel locks. You're right, it is. What they are actually known as, if you are to search for them, is a ignition pliers. That's what they're labeled or billed as. So when you want to find the world's smallest channel locks, look for ignition pliers. Okay, so I'm going to use this as force as a support, and then I'm going to hook onto the first tab there, and I'm going to pull it. Give the pliers a little squeeze. Okay. Let me try it one more time here. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, well, still a little loose. Let's see how that looks there. Okay, it looks like we'll need to do the other side too. We'll do the other side. Okay, that's pretty good. And we'll do the same with this. Okay, and the other side. Now you need to be careful not to damage that wafer board. And there we go. No more wiggling. We're good. So that one's done, right? Top to the side, and we do it all over again. We grab one of the knobs. Works good. Nice and solid. Alright. Okay, next we are going to put the switches back in. They're both the same kind, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. Line them up. Very carefully put them back through the circuit board. Remember the tab is on the mark there. Of course, the shape of the switch goes into the shape of the switch. Alright, solder them up. I'll do 2 pins first. Make sure that it's fully seated. I'll push it up through the bottom, reheat. That side's good. And that side's good. Yeah, do the same with the next one. Push the switch up from the bottom. Make sure that's flush. And it is. Now we do the rest of the pins. Double check your work. Nothing worse than putting something all back together and you realize you forgot to solder something in. Alright, next we're going to do a pot. I think we'll just do one for now. I've got a few of them that need to be done. Alright, and one of them that was terrible was the fine-tune pot. So let's start there. Get my desolder collector. That pot there. Maybe those 3 pins there. And just work it out. Okay. So grab your old pair of wire cutters. Don't use the good ones. We want to get the shell off of here. Okay. So you just open the tabs up. And what I like to do is, obviously don't cut the tabs off, but they've been bent here in manufacturing. Okay. So you don't want to unbend them there because then it fatigues the metal. So we're going to unbend them in a new spot. and it's going to be right below. Okay, so now if you take a close look, I've bent it right at the line where they cut the tabs out of the metal. That's never been bent before, so it shouldn't give us too much trouble when we try to bend them back. However, you will need the right tool, otherwise you can fight it a lot. Okay. Okay, once you get them bent out enough, just remove the bottom. And there's our pot. Okay. Now unfortunately these have been crimped into place. Okay. They are in nylon, and sometimes in real bad cases I'll push the shaft out and pull the nylon off. Then I can really get and do a deep clean on it if it has to be done that way. However, I'll show you a little trick that I've learned. One of them is to spin it in a counterclockwise position. Okay, this way. And as you can see, those spring tabs, they go to the blank spot, but then there's a hard edge there. And now you just scraped off anything that was hard that was on there. Okay, so that's one thing you can do to clean them up. Okay. Another thing you can do is, the trick I use, grab a piece of paper, rip off a small piece, and I put a cleaner on there, just like a cleaner lube. Okay. Yes, I'm running low. I'm going to put this in a paper. There we go. So now I have paper, which is lightly abrasive, but I also have a cleaning solution in there. So now what I'm going to do, again, in the direction of the tabs, how they're bent. Okay, you don't want to come at it from the wrong side, because you'll make the finger bend or the contact bend. But if you come at it from the back side, give the pot a little turn. Now you can see I've got the paper under there. Okay. So now what I can do is very carefully with my cleaning solution and my paper. Okay. I can run that through there. And clean those tabs off. Now, the inside ones are much more tricky because they're on the center ring. However, it can be done, and depending on the manufacturing of the pot, some will be easy and some of them will not. Okay, and in the case of this one, okay, the tangs are coming off both sides, so what's underneath there is you've got two tangs coming up in between the pot from the center line, the center leg. So they come up and touch the center ring, which is the center ring of those wipers. Okay, so let me see what I can do here. Alright, so I'm going to take my paper. You won't be able to see this, but I'm going to turn it, take it in there, and then rotate to get underneath it. And you can see this one's not too dirty, so definitely not having any fun fine-tuning the oscillator. Okay, and there's two of them, so I'm going to do this side as well. There we go, inside. Okay. Rotate that around a few times. Remember, only in one direction. If you do it the other way, you'll damage the pot. Okay. That's it. Alright. So the last thing we have to do is put the top on. So typically when you're putting the back of a pop back on, okay, there's a cutaway. The cutaway on one side versus the other side. Okay, the cutaway is 90% of the time it's going to be where the leads come out. Okay, so these guys right here. Line that up, put that back on there. Okay, now we're going to bend those tabs back. Okay, and here's where the right tool comes in handy. Okay, a regular pair of channel locks. Okay, you're actually going to go on the opposite side of each other to keep equal pressure and equal tension. And very carefully squeeze those back into place. Okay, and do the other side. Okay. Alright, so now we're done with the big ones. Now we're going to get the little ones, because right now you can see it's still sloppy loose. Right? So now what we're going to do is going to take the small guys, and I'm going to put that back ever so lightly. Okay. Okay. We'll do this side. And done. Then we'll give them a squeeze from the top. And now, nice and tight. Okay? So that's all we do. Make sure the pot works properly. And we are good to go. That's ready to be reinstalled.